More disappointed with the Lois and Clark. Certainly. I thought, you know what, he looks more like Clark Kent, but I thought, I got a shot at this. And you just have to go, boom, learn from that, move on to the next thing. And that's what I did. I kept the focus. I told you, I mean, I knew my break would come. I just knew it. I always believed in that.
Kevin landed a number of guest spots on shows including Murder, She Wrote. Then, he was called to audition for the part that made his career.
When I first got the script, I called my agent and said, what?
The role was the legendary hero, Hercules.
The first script I read was Hercules in the Amazons. And I thought he was an unlikable character. I thought he was a womanizer. I thought he wasn't a very friendly guy. There wasn't a lot of humor in the script. But they sent me the other scripts, and then I went, oh, okay. You know, they sent me the other movies they're looking at, and I said, this would be kind of a fun guy to play. I obviously gave a good audition. They called me back again. Then they called me back again. I think I got called back 7 times over about a 2.5-month period. And I'd gotten to a point that, enough already, you know, because every time I went in there, I go, what do you want me to do differently? We like what you're doing. It's fine, we like what you're doing.
Again, Kevin feared that he lost another part. Then, while doing a guest spot, Kevin received an unexpected birthday gift.
And I got to a point, well, I don't care about this Hercules thing anymore. They called me on my birthday. I kid you not. On September 24th, they called me and said, you got the part. And I went, really? You know? I hung up the phone. I walked back on the set, and I said, I'm Hercules. I'm doing 5 2-hour movies down in New Zealand, and I leave like next month.
Well, my first reaction was to him, going, what are you going to do when your skin turns green all the time? And he said, no, that's Hulk. I'm going to be Herc.
In 1994, just 1 year after being passed over for Superman, 36-year-old Kevin Sorbo was the new Hercules in a series of TV movies.
Come on.
I mean, my family, especially my niece and nephews, they loved the fact I was playing Hercules. I mean, they thought this was a pretty cool thing. So, but, you know, my brothers, I think they more or less gave me a hard time.
Kevin soon found out the role of Hercules required a monumental commitment.
No, let me go! Let me go!
Take it easy.
Kevin traveled to New Zealand where the movies were filmed. He approached the role with, well, Herculean effort. Co-star Tawny Katane.
And he constantly would just buckle down and do his work. He was so professional and made everybody, you know, rise up to another level.
For the role of Hercules' father, Zeus, the producers cast acclaimed film actor Anthony Quinn.
I always go ahead with the knowledge that if anybody plays my son, then my son's forever. But he's a wonderful son. He was Hercules, and they asked me to play Zeus, who was the great Greek god. So I was happy to play that. And we became great friends.
He comes down there, he agrees to do this, which shocked me initially. But I was totally intimidated. How could you not be? And, you know, he's going to come down and play Zeus.
And I was intimidated about the whole thing of doing television. Directors hate pauses, and I love pauses. I mean, I love pauses.
Do it! Look, it's not going to change things. This camera can only show your past. It's not going to take you back there. That's not the way it works.
Michael Hurst was cast as Hercules' clever sidekick, Aeolus.
Or we'd sit, you know, between shots and do things, but it was very simple. And as far as the actual acting was, we got into such an easy rhythm with each other. There was no problem at all. It was all the jokes would just be really easy to do, easy to play.
Halfway through the 3rd movie, they added a 5th movie because they liked what they were seeing. I just had a feeling I said, people are going to like this. They're going to like the action, they're going to like the drama, they're going to like the comedy, they're going to like the special effects, the visual effects.
Coming up.
I sort of reached a point in my life where I figured, that's fine. I'll probably never get married.
And later.
The intensive care nurse, totally wigging out, saying, we're going to lose him, we're going to lose him.
In 1995, Kevin Sorbo played Hercules in a series of television movies. The films were a hit with audiences. Executives at Universal Studios decided they had the makings of a successful series.
I just had a good feeling about it, and they let us know pretty quickly after the 5th movie was added that they were going to go into a season of 1-hour shows.
Kevin moved to New Zealand and began work on the television series Hercules, The Legendary Journeys. The schedule was grueling.
Oh yeah, I mean, they work me. I mean, believe me, they put me through the gauntlet.
You know, there was a time there when Kevin would take on, 8 guys at once and work through a whole sequence that would go from beginning to end.
I lived and I breathed the show. I was the first actor on the set and the last to leave pretty much every day. They worked me 6 days a week the first 2 seasons. And I let them. I said, sure, I'll do that. And I did the vast majority of my stunts, not to take away from the stunt guy that did double for me because he did the really insane things, like falling from 20 stories down. He can, Sam can do that. Not my job. But, it's that ego in me, that jock in me that says, I can do that, Give me the double swords and I'll learn how to do this stuff. And I did learn a lot. I learned a lot of being a stunt guy in a way.
Living alone in New Zealand, Kevin opted to put his professional life before his personal life.
I really, really, really worked hard in living and just breathing the show that I didn't pay attention to the success of it all. I was there, so yeah, I'll go to the gym 6 days a week too. I'll work here 14-hour days, then I'll go lift weights for 2 hours, then I'll go home and study for 2 hours, and 4 hours of sleep, that's enough.
He'd go to the gym. That's what he would do. Yeah, it was close to almost every day that he'd go to the gym.
Eventually, the long hours took a toll.
I'm in New Zealand. I'm a long way from family and friends, a long way from home.
He did get homesick. Oh, he did.
He would fly people down there periodically. He had as part of his agreement with his people that he could fly people down there.
Kevin's biggest fans were his parents, who often visited the set.
I had the Hercules outfit on, and boy, that pants, that 12-pound pants, I'll tell you, that was really something. It was comical. All the young gals that were costumes down there, they loved that, so they could dress us up. But she had a pretty blue dress to wear.
In April of 1995, Kevin traveled back to the U.S. to guest star in an episode of Sybil. The actor soon realized how popular he had become.
Kevin was sitting in the Christmas Eve services with us at church, and some of the young teenagers from the choir came down from the balcony, and we're all lined up. We sat there, didn't know what to do. It was Christmas Eve services. Well, but they were nice. He just said, I don't give autographs in church.
People know you, and it's a weird thing that wherever you go, people will recognize you. Not everybody, but there's always one person in the room that recognizes you.
By 1996, it seemed everybody did know Kevin Sorbo. Hercules was an international hit.
The producers came on the set and said, we just passed Baywatch as the #1 show in the world. And you kind of go, in the world?
The success of Hercules prompted Universal to create another series, Xena, Warrior Princess. Together, the shows drew legions of fans.
We put out basically a female version of Hercules with our own spin-off show, Xena. I mean, it was the same show. She has a sidekick that gets wacky and goofy, things happen to her, and they fight gods too. It's basically the same show. So, and that did very equally as well. So it was, how can you not feel good about what the show did and what it did for other people?
By the 3rd season, Kevin was ready for a new challenge behind the camera.
I like directing. Hercules was fun to direct those episodes, but it becomes too much work to do directing and the acting.
Kevin's exhausting schedule left little time for romance. Then in 1996, actress Sam Jenkins appeared on the show.
I had reached a point in my life, I was 3 months shy of turning 38 years old. Never been married. And I sort of reached a point in my life where I figured, that's fine. I'll probably never get married. And that was okay with that.
I had to have like a private meeting with Kevin and the director instead of just going to the whole cast read-through. And I decided to hug him right off the bat.